How I made my first $1 million in the art market. Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Talking Treasure. I'm your host, David Aaron Carpenter. Sometimes your hobby should be taken very seriously and could lead to major financial gains in the future. My foray into the daunting and seemingly complex art market happened by happenstance in March of 2011 when I was browsing the post-war and contemporary sale at Christie's auction in New York's Rockefeller Center. It was only a year after I created the fine violins business with my family, and like any startup entrepreneur, I certainly didn't have cash to be buying pricey artwork. Yep, that's Jeff Bezos in 1999. Go Tigers. The sale then was a learning experience for me, as I got to know one of the specialists at Christie's, who helped me navigate through the entire art market. The first artwork I purchased was an Adolf Gottlieb 1954 painting, which we bought for just over $55,000. This led to me researching more and more in the Christie's and Sotheby's catalogs, and popping into their galleries to learn more and more about the art market, and how to approach this large and somewhat secretive market. The next purchase I made in the art market was another fluke. It was the following year, in 2012, when the evening and day sales took place at the large auction houses. I, of course, couldn't even fathom looking at the pieces that were selling in the evening sales for millions of dollars. But I did follow and attend both the evening and day sales at Christie's. One work in particular, a 1964 Willem de Kooning painting from a prominent estate, for some reason didn't find bidders in the room. I followed that lot and spoke to one of the specialists who told me that the work was misplaced at the end of a marathon day sale. It wasn't viewed properly by potential bidders. I learned from this early point to approach the art market like I did the musical instrument sector, and to do all of my homework about the painting's full provenance, exhibition history, and condition. After doing all of this research, I was confident enough to put in a bid that was well below the stated reserve price in the Christie's catalog, and one that I knew would be a fantastic investment in price if I were to get it. By a stroke of luck, the estate that owned the de Kooning had a great sale and sold over 90% of their works with Christie's. So they basically needed this painting off the books and didn't really care about the offers that they received. So we put in a ridiculously low offer in, expecting the estate to come back with a counter offer. And surprisingly, they accepted the offer. We managed to buy the work for around $400,000, and it was estimated between $600,000 to $800,000 at auction. I was beyond ecstatic and had the artwork brought to my townhouse in New York City, where we displayed it for a couple of years. It was next to my piano alongside another 1964 de Kooning painting. So one afternoon, I hosted a small party, and a friend of mine who happened to work at a major gallery in New York City stopped by. She saw the work and immediately told me she could sell it at a major art fair in South America. I was hesitant to part with it because I truly loved this work, and I only agreed to do it if I were to get over $1 million. I was not expecting my friend to say yes, but she did it. I consigned the work to her gallery for a couple of months, and she was able to sell it. It sold for above $1 million, but now it's comfortably worth between $2 and $3 million. Following the sale of another de Kooning painting to Ken Griffin for $300 million, my piece seems very reasonable. So because of the sale of the de Kooning painting, I was able to 1031 exchange the painting for another, which means that you could defer the capital gains to the next painting bought. This tax strategy, which is often used in trading real estate, unfortunately no longer applies to artwork. I eventually sold that piece for another Kusama and Robert Motherwell painting. Long story short, my path to making millions of dollars in the art world was always a process of buying and selling to upgrade. Over 20 paintings later, I can now afford many works by some of the most famous artists and hold those works for many years, which was always my long-term objective. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to buy the de Kooning painting I sold back. My advice to anyone who is trying to get into the art market: learn as much as you can about the artists you're interested in and start small. I started in the art world with paintings that were only a few $1,000s, and then bought and sold opportunistically until I could afford works by the greatest artists. Also, most people are intimidated to even go to the auction houses, but my message to all of you is don't be. Walk in, check out the sales schedules on the websites, and plan accordingly. Sometimes, even on the weekends, some of the auction houses serve coffee and tea, so it's a win-win. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Talking Treasure, and I hope to see you next time.